If you are ready to question everything that you think that you know in order to understand your true purpose and unleash your full potential, then join us as we dive deep into another episode of Eye-Opening Discussion. Hi, this is Dr. Dan Langley, and thank you for joining us again on another eye-opening discussion. In the previous episodes, we were talking about common ophthalmic conditions that can negatively affect the way that you perceive the world. But more than that, we talked about the next evolutionary aspect of how we see that can also have some distortions in it as well. And so we talked about refractive errors, which can cause the bending of light rays so that we perceive light or the truth in a way that's not really helpful to what we'd like in our life. We visited the role that cataracts plays in the distortion and or blockage of the light or the truth that gets back to our retina. And so that also causes distorted perceptions. We talked about how toxic environments in our diet and our nutrition status can cause problems within the structure of the foundation of how we see the world, such as macular degeneration and diabetic retinopathy, where toxic substances can cause damage to the blood vessels and the retina and cause leakage, loss of vision, blind spots, and other distortions. And so another common eye disease that I encounter on a daily basis is a condition called glaucoma. And it's a kind of a funny word, but what glaucoma is a condition of eye diseases that is usually caused by an increase of pressure that builds in the eye. Well, what happens when the pressure builds inside the eye is that the eye has only so much room in there, and that pressure, that fluid starts to push on the optic nerve, thus causing damage. If I were to touch my arm here just for a few moments, it wouldn't cause any problems. If I were to push harder, then for a few moments it wouldn't cause any issues, but over time, that's gonna cause necrosis or destruction to those cells in those areas. So glaucoma is usually a very insidious process that slowly over time can rob you of the quality of your vision, creating scotomas, which are blind spots that we don't see. It also can create tunnel vision, where we have blind spots that are concentric that simply tend to limit our vision. You can see where if we had blind spots in our vision and or tunnel vision, that our experience wouldn't be as rich as it could be if we were free of those blind spots and or tunnel vision. So if we can ask ourselves, are life's pressures giving us a blurry or distorted view of reality? And if so, what are those pressures? Are pressures about survival? Are we safe in our environment? Do we have people that love us and support us and can care for us? Do we have pressures in our life based on our desire to procreate or sexual desires? Do we have pressures about the type of food that we eat? Do we derive pleasure from food as opposed to just nutrition? Do we find that we have pressures in our life based on drugs or the desire to escape the reality that we're currently in? And so we look to our outside chemical substances that can easily be created in our body for this type of pressure release. Do we have pressures based on money and or success, or whatever you define as that success? It seems like all of us have some form of pressures in our life. Are those pressures self-inflicted? Are those pressures put on us by our family members, by our career, by society in general, or just simply by the human experience? And so identifying these pressures and then discovering how they limit our perspective of the world can be very helpful at identifying ways that we can reduce pressures there. So if we are able to lower the pressures in our life, could we not see a bigger picture? Could we not, or even more point of fact, could we see the bigger picture so that we could help lower the pressures inside of our life? And so I think if we identify where we have pressures in our life and lean into ways that we can decrease their effects on us, that most definitely our lives will improve. We'll feel more relaxed, we'll feel less stress, and we'll enjoy life to its fullest. So if we were ready to identify areas that we seem to have stress in our life and finding ways to if we recognize that there are pressures in our life and we can choose a more healthy alternative that would allow these pressures to decrease their effect on crushing our soul as they crush our optic nerve, then I think that we would have a more enjoyable life experience. It was one of the main reasons that we started this podcast experience, to discuss some of the similarities that I have experienced while being an ophthalmologist. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be an ophthalmologist and work with such wonderful people and patients on a daily basis. And I do see that we are suffering in physical ways, and I've worked for 20 years to help with that physical suffering. But I've also recognized that there is another layer of suffering. That the reason why we started this podcast is that while in the OR, we had many eye-opening discussions about many topics that were affecting humanity today. And not just the physical ailments that affect us on a daily basis, but also the spiritual ailments. And providing options for people that would resonate with them and would speak to their unique individual issues is what this podcast is all about. And so hopefully in the comments, if you have any concerns or questions that are really, truly plaguing you, then please feel free to comment in that section, and we'll be happy to address those. Because ultimately, that's the whole purpose here, is to simply say, how are you feeling? Is there anything I can do to help? And let's get you on the path towards success in your life and other aspects too. And so creating a mega mind group that allows us to really gain different perspectives for the common good of each individual that's there, I think is very important. And so part of this podcast is designed to do just that, is to find out what's bothering, what's plaguing people, what's keeping them unhappy, what's keeping them stuck in patterns that they don't recognize, and gently finding a way to bring it to the surface so that we can transmute that energy and move on to a greater future. It doesn't seem to be going addressed. And part of my desire with this podcast is to question the ways that we are suffering and to get to the root cause. Because as a healer, I want to heal those issues. And by shining light and removing the distortions on the problems that face us as individuals and as a collective, then I think that we have a phenomenal opportunity to heal ourselves and move to the next phase of our evolution. And so I'm truly grateful for you joining us on this journey. And hopefully by identifying distortions that we have in our lives, we can work towards eliminating those or mitigating those, so we can truly have the experience that I know is possible for all of us. And so again, I'd like to thank you for the time that you're spending with us. And I look forward to visiting with you next time on another eye-opening discussion. Thank you.